Don't fucking scream at me.
Where's
you
the
dumb
money?
fuck you. Look at you with your fucking 48% body fat and...
You thought I was gone. You thought you were thinking I would never come back again, were you? No, the Moonraker is here. I'm here with you after Christmas, December the 26th, and we've got stuff to talk about. Before we get started, though, I want to give a shout out to MJ Schumann out of the Texas state, that is. Been chatting a bit with him today. Fascinating things he's experienced recently, and I can definitely relate to that in many ways, as most people can. But it was good to have people to chat with. Along with MJ Schumann, I also chat today with Zachariah, oldie but goodie, and a few other people. I even got a link. You know what? I actually should have put this on the podcast for today. Basically, there is a link to a book that has to do with some UFO incidents. It's a free ebook. But I didn't even think about it. I was just in awe. And this happens a lot, by the way. Let me just talk about this for a second. It's hold your horses. This happens to me a lot where people include me in messages about things like books or research or incidents. And they include things like Coast to Coast AM. They include, all the other big name UFO podcasts. And they throw me in there. And, I'm really excited about stuff like that because, and I feel like I'm a one-man gang. But what's fascinating is that I'm always the first one to respond. Everyone else, they've got to get their producers on it. They got to get their agent. Can I respond to this guy or not? No, I don't do all of that. I just fucking respond. A lot of these guys, they're sitting around having somebody warm their balls. They don't want to get the balls wrinkled because they shoot up at the lung area. And so they wait and they don't respond because it's got to go through legal. I'm not worried about shit like that. I will respond. Plain and simple, that's the way it goes. By the way, this is the Thursday Freakout. We are holding calls today. There will be no calls initially because I got a lot of articles to go over. The last episode was before Christmas, so I got some catching up to do, Lucy. I want to say what's up to Dr. Green. He's saying what's up to myself and Bugs. Bugs is not having a good time tonight. Actually, in Texas is a thing on Christmas. Probably, I'm thinking actually from Christmas all the way down to New Year's is to shoot up some fireworks. Now, where we were last year, it was restricted. It was in the city limits. Where I am now is outside the city limits, so people are like cowboys out here. They're shooting off fireworks like crazy. Bugs is not a fan of fireworks, not in one bit. So he's patrolling the house, basically trying to figure out whose bed he's going to jump into. Which would be okay. But Bugs has a gas problem. It's horrific. It is so bad. It is painful in many ways. It hurts to breathe it in. Like, you guys know. Like, you've been in places where it smells so bad that your throat hurts. That's what that little dog can do. And he doesn't give a damn. He'll give you the stare after he farts. Try to blame you for it. He's disgusting. In so many ways. Dr. Green says his boy Igor hates fireworks as well. Yeah. It is the weirdest thing. And I've seen dogs almost tear down doors just to hide from fireworks. And, what can you do? I mean, how can you expose them to that before they get to that stage? Bananas, I don't know. I'm thinking we can throw Bugs into like a closed room and just light it up. Let that bitch go. Light up every fucking firework we can find. I mean, he's got to learn, right? Isn't that how you teach dogs? Come on. Stop fucking around. You got to do what you got to do. You got to save the ear, nose, and throats. Because today's podcast is a little bit packed. I've got 3 stories. And if you heard the beginning of the podcast, which those of you who are on the replay will hear it, others will have to go back to the replay, because if you logged in a little bit late on a live episode, you kind of miss it. You got to go back and check it out, see what's going on. But today's podcast is dedicated to the people who love James Bond films and other things as well. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, as a matter of fact. There was a clip of Arnold Schwarzenegger that I played at the beginning of the clip, but there's a reason for this. There is a news article that I'm going to talk about, which really, in many ways today, I feel that Arnold Schwarzenegger should not have stopped at the gubernatorial situation out in California. He had a lot more to do. He had a lot more to give. But we'll talk about that in a moment. Before we get started, I do invite you guys to take the time to go to the social media outlets that deal with UFO Buster Radio craziness. Facebook, the group UBR Truth Seekers, the Facebook page UFO Buster Radio, Instagram at Manny Mooriker, and on Twitters at UFO Buster Radio. Get in there and get happy and communicate. Send messages, like, share, subscribe. Include it in a message to your aging parents. It might help them relive the things that they might have missed back in their heyday. Like someone like me who gives 0 fucks most of the time. I guess we're going to start out the podcast because it is the Thursday Freakout. We'll start out with a little song, something to get us going. Why not? We don't want to waste another lie. Zachariah is in the house on the Thursday Freakout, and he's on there live. And hey, somebody new to the Thursday Freakout. We got Darren. What's up, Darren? Hey, by the way, besides the Thursday Freakout, I'm thinking in 2020, no other episode will be live besides this particular Thursday Freakout. And like I said, I was doing this as a test. I don't know who did it. Was it Green Man? Was it, I don't know who it was. I don't think it was Zachariah. I think it was somebody else. But they said, hey, why don't you do it at the same time every fucking day? All right, here's one day. Thursday Freakout will stay through 2020. But I've decided that the other episodes will be pre-recorded just so that I can do fancy shit on there. I want to be able to broadcast UFO nonsense. Can be fancy about it like the rest of the big dudes, the big dogs. You know, they got the production teams. I need some time to myself so I can produce shit. Let's get to the first article. How many of you guys watch UFC? Specifically, the UFC. Do you watch UFC? Are you familiar with some of the UFC fighters? Go on. I'm giving you time to answer that. Write your answer down and let me know. Let me know what you think about that. Because we had someone who back in the day, probably about 2 years ago, talked about UFC fighters having experience type things happening to them with UFOs, sightings, and so forth. But here's one guy that I'm kind of shocked about, but geez, what's going on? It turns out that GSP, Georges St-Pierre, you guys know this dude. He is legendary when it comes to MMA, martial arts, and the UFC. There's an article from MMA Mania that says the coach, which would be GSP's coach, explains how Georges St-Pierre keeps aliens from abducting him. Now, the title is a bit of rubber dickery. I'm going to tell you that right now. But what he does, it's fascinating. And to be honest, I would not share a room with GSP no matter where I'm at. I just couldn't. Only because we here at UFO Buster Radio have a belief that some of this shit is real. So if someone's laying next to me in a hotel room and does something to keep aliens away, yeah, I think I'd think twice of ever, having sleepovers, visiting, even taking car rides. No, we're not going to do any of that. Not at all. So MMA Mania actually is reporting on an interview that was conducted by Joe Rogan with his coach, Firas Zahabi. Sorry, I'm not from that side of the world, so I probably fucked up that name. So Firas basically was in an interview by Joe Rogan, and the conversation of GSP came up. I mean, why not? If you're the coach of GSP, who is a legend in MMA, why wouldn't you want to bring that shit up, right? And there's a quote here from Firas, because I fucked up his last name, Firas. He says, well, I don't know. I don't want to speak for George, but man, he can kill anybody, this man. The guy looks pretty rough. He really looks a lot like, what's that dude's name? What's that guy? He looks like, the movie star, the fucking karate guy that career went to shit. Anyway, so basically he's talking about Georges St-Pierre and the fact that he's a monster. He loves to train. He's an animal in the gym. And the guy is just like almost unstoppable, right? Even at his age. I mean, I think Georges St-Pierre has already retired twice, and he's come back to the game twice. But also, Firas said this, and this is what kind of caught the MMA alien conspiracy situation. Firas said, he's such a nutcase. See? Why you gotta fuck him over, dude? He can kill you. He says, George, he's crazy. He always tells me, so many crazy characters in MMA, you're the craziest one of all. He says, he thinks aliens are stealing his time. Now, this came from Rogan, because apparently Rogan may have had a conversation with GSP about this particular, I don't know, experiences, thought process. And according to Firas, he says, I share a room with him many times. He puts a foam roller up against the door like this, and I guess he did the thing, giving the little booty shake, bent over and rolled something out of the door. I don't know. I guess you got to see it to believe it. And he says, I move it, I put it away, and then Firas is basically talking about the foam roller. He moved it away from the door, and St-Pierre jumped up. GSP says, no, bro, leave it there. Firas says, for what? He says, in case the aliens get us. He says he'll know the next day because the foam roller was moved. Rogan says, Jesus Christ. Doesn't he think the aliens come through the walls? How are they taking him? Taking him through the hallway, holding his hand? And Firas says because they wipe his memory after, but he'll know because they don't know he put the foam roller there. So when they move it, it's a cue for him to remember. Fuck my life. Are you serious? That is crazy. So Georges St-Pierre places a foam roller in front of the door. Because why? Because he thinks that when the aliens come in, they have no clue. These guys have flown from billions of light years away. They have no clue that there's a foam roller in front of his door. So that when they open the door, because they don't teleport in, they move it and bam, he'll remember that. But I mean, they erase every other memory. They could be hopscotching through the desert or through the wilderness, butt naked, getting probed. But he won't remember any of that. He'll just remember that the roller was moved. I mean, come on. Are you serious right now? I mean, I don't know. This is something that you would have to actually interview specifically Georges St-Pierre about to figure out what the heck is he talking about. Is this a real thing? Did he have any other situations that brought him to that conclusion? It's bananas. It's bananas. And you know what? If I was the most deadliest man alive in the UFC situation, I would take that Firas guy. I would kick his ass. I really would. I would take him out. And the person I was talking about actually was Van Damme. GSP does a lot of Van Damme moves like the split and all that kind of nonsense. So, and he really does look like him a bit. Yeah, he does look like Jean-Claude. And he does have the French accent as well, by the way. So I don't know. It's a very strange thing. Dr. Green says, sounds like GSP took many shots to the head. And I go, lie, he probably did. He probably did take a lot of shots to the head. But just because your noggin has been shooken up a lot, it doesn't mean that you didn't have any experiences. Maybe that's why he trained so hard. He wants to be fighting E.T. mano a mano. He wants to take him out, put him in a rear naked choke. It's just weird. It is. It's really weird that we hear these things. And, you kind of are surprised when people who are in the public figures, they come out with these stories, and you're like, dude, really? Where you been? Why haven't you been talking about this? I mean, we're here. We're in the trenches. We're getting fucked over by the government. People don't believe us. They call us crazy. And your ass is making millions of dollars. And you're over here fucking putting foam rollers on your door. Really? Come on, put on some aluminum. What the fuck are you doing? He's totally misguided. Yeah, he should be using aluminum on his bald head. I mean, that's perfect. There's nothing blocking the contact with the aluminum. So come on, GSP. Shh. Some aliens are going to probe the shit out of you. I'm telling you. You are not the GOAT. when it comes to their sector of the universe. There's a link to this particular article. It talks a lot more about the discussion between Firas, what the fuck his name is, Habibi, and Rogan and stuff like that. So I'm sure that if you look on some kind of podcast app, you'll be able to find that particular situation, that conversation. And, again, I wouldn't fuck with GSP. If that's his deal, that's his deal. I could care less. If he goes around probing himself because it gets him rating, that's his training for his experiences, his abductions, then fuck, they could do it. Let the guy do it. He's a goat. He's literally a goat. I wouldn't tell him shit. Check this out. I've had a stuffy nose over the last couple of days, and I've been throwing as much vodka as I can at it, but it doesn't seem to be working. Like, geez, well, at what point does the vodka to stuffy nose ratio just hit that balance? Not entirely sure. Geez, I'm so glad that we're not having technical issues. This next article has to do with our people our main man named Elon Musk. If you look at the logo for today's episode, it is a picture that came out of Great Falls. Yeah. Believe it or not, again, northern Montana is reporting, hey, what are these strange stars that are all lined up in a row? It was about, a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, where someone out of New Zealand was posting pictures of these stars, or aka UFOs. They were lined up in a straight line, because if you look at the stars, none of them are lined up 60 in a fucking row in a straight line in the sky. Well, so they figured that out in New Zealand. Say, hey, it's fucking Musk again. God damn it. What's wrong with him with his fucking brain? Yeah, so yeah, Musk. And we know we had an article after that, which was a conversation between angry astronomers and Musk, because they were pissed off. It's like, you're fucking up our sky. We can't use telescopes now because you're littering. You're literally littering. We can't see the sky, the constellations, the stars, because you threw up these fucking Starlink things up there. It turns out in Montana, they had a sighting. Of course, several people decided they would take pictures of these strange stars lined up in a row. People around the areas of Browning, Rocky Boy, and Lodge Pole, they shared photos with MTN News this past Wednesday evening. And one of those pictures, if you look on the logo for this episode, there it is. That's what they saw. A straight line of white stars. And of course, these stars were not sitting still. I'm telling you, if you have the slightest phobia about getting abducted and probed, if you see a line of 60 stars moving across the sky, I'm telling you, you would freak the fuck out. You really would. You'd get that aluminum, you get all the foam rollers you can find and put it on every fucking door, because shit's about to go down. It turns out a meteorologist on the WLKY news station, John Belsky, decided that, hey, this is what it is. Let me explain it to you people. These are the Starlinks thanks to SpaceX. And, hey, that's what it is. Don't freak out. Another meteorologist out in Montana, Will Haney of station WWMT, posted actually an explanation. And here's what the explanation says. The bright dots in the sky are satellites approximately 175 miles above the surface of the Earth. They appear bright due to their solar array reflecting sunlight back to the dark side of the globe. He's a genius. The guy is... Elon needs to hire this guy. He's fantastic at what he does. Of course, we know that back in November, SpaceX launched another 60 Starlink satellites, and they were launched from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, Florida. And according to the SpaceX website, SpaceX is developing a low-latency broadband internet system to meet the needs of consumers across the globe. Enabled by a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites, Starlink will provide fast, reliable internet to populations with little or no connectivity, including those in rural communities and places where existing services are too expensive or unreliable. My argument is basically, if you're like in an area of the planet where there's no connectivity, you don't give two fucks about those satellites. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You're basically out there like freaking hunting animals and shit. You're wearing leaves. You don't give a fuck about broadband? Come on, who you fucking with? There was a tweet that went out. A tweet went out right after this sighting in Montana. An individual also stated that the streaking stars were also caught in pictures over Illinois, Iowa, and Michigan. Bananas. like, I don't know. He's only got about, 122 Starlinks satellites up there. How is he going to get that number that he's shooting for? I don't see it. I think people are going to put a stop to this eventually. It's just not going to fly, Elon. It's not going to fly like that Mach 1. There is a link in the description, not a link to the article because apparently I was too busy trying to correct my stuffy nose situation. But there is a link in the description to another website that it will help you track the Starlinks so you can actually see when they show up in your neck of the woods. So check out the description, go to the link. Yeah, I think that the name of the website is called, give me a second here. It's called Starflare. So Starflare, you click on it and you'll see where they are in real time. And you'll be able to use that to figure out when you need to go outside and figure out if they're there with you, above you. Take out your camera and then do a bunch of UFO reportings. Just to make it happen. Actually, it's not Starflare, it's Satflare. S-A-T, word flare.com. And you'll be able to track where the Starlinks are in your neck of the woods, which eventually, in the next 2 years, you won't even need a fucking map. They're going to be everywhere. You will never see a fucking constellation again. Not going to happen. Now, the first thing that happened right after astronomers started complaining to SpaceX about what the fuck they were doing littering the sky, they decided, well, we'll just paint them in black. We'll see how the fuck that works out. I don't see it making a difference. As a matter of fact, some of the astronomers at the time, when they came up with that particular, answer, if you will, they said, no, you're still going to be able to see it. You're rubber dicking us all the way. I want to give a shout out to Nick. He's in there with Zachariah and Darren and Dr. Greed in the live chat right now, as well as myself. But, sometimes I wonder, would SpaceX have been better if it was run by Arnold Schwarzenegger? Wouldn't it? Could you imagine the astronomers are are posting all kind of shit. They're sending messages to, Elon, aka Arnold. And he's sitting there. He's getting these messages. And his little meek little tiny executive assistant comes in with a message and passes it over to Elon, and he reads it, and her name is it's Marge. So Marge is there. She hands it over. She's a little skittish because she knows that Elon just freaks out. So Elon grabs it and he reads it. He starts screaming. Right, he's pissed off as hell. Fucking astronomers won't leave him alone.
Jesus, Marge, what the fuck?
He's losing it. Totally losing it. This is what I feel Elon Musk goes through. I know he's a smart guy, but and I know he's from South Africa, unfortunately. But really, when I see him on TV, that's what I think about. Every time he reads a tweet or a news article, he fucking loses it, and he should. He really should. And Marge,
Jesus, Marge, what the fuck? Marge
is fired. She's gone. Marge doesn't even fucking exist anymore, to be honest. You could just forget about it. Yeah, that was my bit right now. You could just imagine how the hell I came up with this. It's a secret. But I'm not going to cry for people like Elon Musk. Not one bit.
Snow, red sky, reach up for so high, blue eyes, fake cry, beware of the fox tonight. keep fighting. I'm willing to take a chance, break free. The dog's biting, dressed up for the final dance. Shut down, inspire. I'm here to take your call. New soul to higher. I will despite you all. Treat me with your silence. Hear my soul's burning, but I'm not crying. Call out for another. Will you kill me gently before I start
Now, I know people in the U.S. are talking about impeachment. Whatever that is. However, that's going to work. But the guy they're impeaching is a guy who signed the Space Force, signed the documents to make them official. So we have a Space Force update. Yeah. Because when you're trying to impeach the commander-in-chief, you tend to forget about the shit that's happening in the back somewhere as they're trying to build this quote-unquote Space Force, which nobody knows what the fuck it's for. Nobody knows what it's about. I don't know. Who knows, right? It turns out there's an article out of a Florida newspaper called Florida Today that things are starting to look up or south for Space Force, as they've recently announced some of the bases that will house the Space Force. And let me tell you, there's a couple in here that, one specifically, that is not a surprise. Like, you know that Space Command, Space Force, had to be involved with this particular place. And it's out in California, if you have any questions about that. And those of you that follow, crazy ass UFO sightings that have to deal with missiles and satellites being launched and Atlas rockets and shit like that, you know which place in California I'm talking about. For all you newbies, we're about to find out right now. Here's some facts that you need to know about Space Force that's going on right now. Some of the facts were released last week in a news conference, which I fucking didn't even know they had one. So there you go. These are the things that happens behind the scenes that you're not aware about. Space Force, which is the military branch that's been added to the Air Force, apparently, I guess. Nobody knows. At first it was supposed to be its own branch, then the Air Force had shit to say about it, and I don't even know where the fuck it's at anymore. But according to this, it is assumed that Space Force will continue to get its officers from the U.S. Air Force Academy for the future until they can build their own training facility. But here's some things you should know. Air Force General J. Raymond, the head of the Air Force Space Command and U.S. Space Command, is going to lead the Space Force until a new chief is formally confirmed by the Senate, which is busy trying to get rid of the commander-in-chief. 16,000 Air Force Space Command active duty and civilian personnel are now assigned to the U.S. Space Force. That's a big-ass fucking Space Force for something that just got signed not too long ago. 16,000 personnel already. It seems kind of strange. Like, how do you do that? How do you build up a space force, a military force that quickly? I don't know, folks. A lot of people say it's been in the works for a while. This official signing was all just a dog and pony show. It turns out 5 military installations have been designated as Space Force bases: Patrick Air Force Base, Peterson, Shriver, and Buckley Air Force bases in Colorado, as well as Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. It is no doubt to me that the Space Force would be in Vandenberg. Come on. Vandenberg also popular for some strange UFO situations in the past, which if you watch Ancient Aliens or any other kind of UFO show, you've seen many of those reported by not only witnesses, but people that were enlisted personnel as well. It's a fascinating choice. I likes it. The Space Force website is actually live. I don't have a link to that in the article, but I'm sure you can look up Space Force and you'll find that shit. They also have a Twitter account in case you want to tweet them about things you've been seeing in space. And last but not least, Steve Carell will be starring in a Netflix comedy about Space Force, and it's currently in production in Los Angeles. For those of you in California who want to be part of the extras, there you go. See if you can find Steve and be part of the new Space Force comedy on Netflix. There is no doubt that the Space Force is growing, and as many have postulated in the past, the Space Force was like new. It's a new thing, but only to us in the public. It's been something that's been going on a long time in the past, especially when you are shooting up space planes, reusable space planes over the last few years that apparently are secrets to some, but not to everyone. Oh, by the way, I guess also the logo or the patch for Space Force, they're thinking about it again. They're trying to redesign that as well. Also, along with the uniforms, because the first few seemed to come out of a anime cartoon shop out in Japan, and a lot of people didn't like it. So what can you do? Shit happens. Come on. I got a question here in the chat box live on Spreaker.com. It's from Guter. He says, when is the Dark Horde starting? My assumption is that the Dark Horde will start in late January, early February. We are getting a lot of traction on Twitter, so we should be getting together a lot of people to come in and talk about their paranormal experiences. You know, ghost hunting, spiritual stuff, poltergeist, things like that. So that's what we're looking for. And that's what we'll talk about on the Dark Horde podcast, coming to a situation near you. Darren says, Snark Force. Hey, listen, it's a good idea. Space Force is a good idea, but the way they promote it as far as what they're going to do makes no sense. What I envision is that the minute the Igor at your belly gets his Asgardians into that space station, I see the Space Force attacking it and blowing it clear the fuck out of the sky. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm going with. That's what I like. The other day I did have a bit of a thought, right? What if I had my own James Bond film? You know, like a 007 type of film, you know, Moonraker and all. You know, I am a fan of that. And I thought, this song I'm about to play is the one. This is the one where you see like, well, it is a Moonraker film, so it'd be like all the rubber dickers and that special, you know, shooting through bullets. And I know some of you like rubber dickers. Cause you got all the, you know, special effects and stuff, and this song is going on. And I'm thinking that the name of the movie would be Moonraker, The World Gives No Fucks. Yeah. Doesn't that sound like a 007 film? Yeah, and like in this part, you'll see Big O. He's in the special effects, right? And he's swimming in blood, doing a backstroke naked. And then it cuts to a scene. I'm going to a bar, a disco, out in Sweden or something like that. The bad guy is at his favorite table, surrounded by the henchmen. And there's like go-go dancers everywhere. But the Moonraker gives no fucks. So I walk in looking real swag in my suits, my Armani suits. Casing the joint, armed to the teeth with my secret weapons. But I tell you, the first people to go down are the Go-Go's. I've seen Austin Powers. I know what they can do. Take them out first. Moonraker. Thought the green wants to be cute. You're hired. I don't know. I come up with crazy shit sometime, and I'm not even under the influence either. That's the funny part. That's the part that drives me insane. This is the podcast for today. I thank you guys for joining. 2020 is going to be a good year. Like I said, I'm doing a campaign, Roswell or bust. I'm going to be there one way or another. The question is, will I be prepared to bring all of the listeners with me to Roswell in July? Or will it be bust and I'll just be podcasting from my cell phone or something like that? I thank you guys for joining. Thank you for being part of the UFO Buster Radio family. And if you have an experience you want to share, come aboard. Call in. Let us know. Wait, hold on. Guter says, where's Dave? Which Dave is that? It's a lot of Dave. Oh, wait. Yeah, where is Dave? As a matter of fact, you stop the presses. What the fuck's going on? Where's Dave? I will send out the 411 because Dave is part of the UBR Truth Seekers Facebook group. Go find out. Where the hell is Dave? Until then, we might have a show tomorrow and maybe every day up until New Year's Day just to make up for my holiday disappearance. Ciao.